shouldn't. You shouldn't read it. Actually, no. Look at me like I'm on video. I can send you a fresh link. Wait, okay, so. Okay, she must have broken the link or something.
And what? Do you want my number?
Well, let me find the link first, but then yeah.
Is pay money or we need to Ooh, chairs. I love chairs. Let's have them all the way out. Remember when you stacked your almost all the way up and tried to sit on it?
Please don't die. My chair
You
stack.
almost fell. That sounds like something like Fred Boston would say. Don't die. It's not good. Alright. Let's do this. Can I have the white one? On. Only it's on. Too strong. But look at me. Also gonna do that. Is it on the wrong side? You got that. He's such a pro. Look how far it's going. Yes. You traumatized me. What's that?
I've sent you like
Alright, let's do this. Oh yes, someone texted.
not some.
We do know it's not a someone.
So that's for a lot of
But it does that. So I have no idea where. Oh,
So now you got the Kansas base.
I didn't know that.
Big one. Is the white one. It's like all the group photos. You know, that's
Well, these photos are
you know? There's both. They're gonna make sure that he works.
Oh, there's our cabin.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
what happened is, the link I sent out to parents was cctv.com/mssc, and that forwards you to the OneDrive. The OneDrive it forwards you to has this really long address. So if you copy paste, not the thing I sent, but you copy paste what's in your browser, it's crazy long.
And it's a fireball.
And it keeps going. So if you lose some of this, it's gonna try and send you to the wrong place. And usually when you copy paste it from somewhere and then try and text it, you do end up needing some of that. So whatever she sent you was probably like the first part of this and not the rest. So it doesn't work. But if you just memorize the acronym for this interpretation MSSC, text on it, cctv.com/MSSC. That turns into that. And then you don't put that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Willow, you're
Willow.
tired.
Willow, are you in an acting class? It's not even like a question.
He's a great actor.
He's just a great actor.
Come on, it deflected off you. I mean, you're.
These photos are awesome.
Did you guys notice that your artwork from Memorial Day is now at front of the wall?
We did artwork?
Yeah, you have to look close, but it's there.
What do you mean we did artwork? Oh yeah, I see it. Isla. I don't remember doing this.
Well, if you weren't here that day, then you didn't do it.
Was it on a Friday or a
It
Sunday?
was on a Sunday.
Were people were writing on this? You'll never
No, they wrote on paper, and I incorporated it in your wallpaper.
Whoa. I don't want to take the time to find it.
Come on.
I was so like, how is this fresh? But this is so funny. I'm like, what did I say that's so funny? I see
I
it,
think
but
that you're blunt. You just say things absolutely as they are. You don't soften them at all.
what does that even mean? The attic? Oh! I saw my sister today. What's his name? Yeah, no, not that. No, it's
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's a literal picture. And then I did a picture. Oh, he's asking us today, my friend.
Nice.
It's true. It's more
I am
like
fixing the sign up page right now.
the
That's
projector. Get that there. And yeah.
What? What does that even mean? What? No, stop.
Yes, I know he's on. See, he leaves some of my friends here.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, like some of my friends like sit around with big parties and like wait, so we don't like get to know. It's gonna be awesome. Hopefully,
Did you find yours, Willa?
no.
You're in the top right corner.
Simon
is now.
Put Simon next to me.
Sorry.
Oh.
You guys wrote really similar things.
No.
Is that the group photo? Oh, no. Okay, that's just Canada group photo.
No.
Oh, I see mine. Yep.
Here. Stop. Going behind. One last death and I would
Was I in that picture? I was probably in the shower. Daniel, would you say that the pool party is a church party? Last time I remember people only did one.
The baptism?
Yeah, the baptism.
It's a mistake. Can you try not to hide him? Can you try to hide him for the church thing? Did he specifically ask, is this a church party?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can't. There's no way around this. I was gonna say, you could say something like, everyone in church is funny.
Yeah, yeah, I knew I recognized it from somewhere. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I knew.
Yeah, it's a church party, man. I'm sorry, you can't fix that.
I should say that.
It's a baptism. You can't hide this.
A lot of like,
In the vaulting.
That is literally avoiding the question.
yes.
Start. Yeah.
No, because if it's a church thing, we can't go.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I just don't know how to. You can ghost him from this point on. Hope he forgets his question, but you can't lie. But
You got 70
Oh, jeez, how do you know?
Daniel. Grandma doesn't know what a Kinder Joy is.
she doesn't know what Tinder Joy is? Well, they are illegal here.
Wait, they are?
Well, they made an American version to make it not illegal, but they started out illegal.
Why?
Because our law is specifically written such that you can always not hold up inside of it.
Which team were you on? The same team that I was. Oh, okay, so I said a lot of my church friends are coming. Now he has to be very good. So I think he might be coming. Daniel, how do you spell girl? D-O-M-E.
It's no. P-U-R. Old word for small town.
So,
And der is an old word. Heat.
alright. I hope he does. Okay. No, what my best friend trying to get him to go to the baptism, but he's Mormon.
It won't eat me.
Oh, seems like that's the opposite of Christian. Yes. Kind of. Yeah. Different religion. Why do we have so many pictures in the days? Me? Oh my gosh, what is that? I don't know where that is all. That was at Canyon. Oh, this is a video of Oh, I was in on it. I'm not watching it. Oh, I think that photo.
Yes, he should do it.
Alright. I feel like at this point we have to yell at his horn. Because he's like, cool. What is it held by your church? Your church. I feel like right now I
Being
have.
posted.
I'll set that.
No, don't do it. You're digging a pit for yourself. He's gonna know you're trying to help him.
Oh, well, we tried to do this on.
Oh, this isn't the first time. This is why he's so aware that he needs to ask what the blank.
I think he does. He's not trying to invite him.
Uh,
Okay, I get one.
Maxim's
I
right.
thought it wasn't. Me too, actually.
Because the first day was so long. First day was the ride, car broke down. Like, there was so much on that first day.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, that's totally. That's like, that's over once. Yeah. You can't get a good range of it. Look at that. Just,
Daniel is working out. He just has to ask his parents.
He what?
He just has to ask his parents.
Yes, they're probably gonna ask another question.
Yeah, that is true. But I just called him.
Oh.
He's like, he asked me if I was out, and I said no, but I could call you though. So then we just talked real quick. He said he's just
done
not
with
get it cleared by his parents.
So he wants to
He
go.
wants to.
Oh, that's so good. Because whether he gets to go or
My
not,
friend,
the fact
like-
that he wants to is huge. That's
Well,
fantastic.
so I think what he was thinking is that other people can't come. Like other people from the church.
Like it's a church only event.
Right, but it's not, right?
No, oh no. No,
Alright,
we
so I
totally
said
invite
that it
everyone.
isn't.
No, and then like a bunch of lifeguards don't go to our church. They have to be there, and
Well,
they don't
that's
go to our
their
church.
job.
Granted, but they sit through everything we do. You know, it's a person.
I hope they say yes.
Yeah, me too.
Because I feel
Dude,
like,
there's like water slides in Jericho.
yeah, I'll tell them that there's a low.
Yeah, it's almost 2 water slides. Super awesome. The more excited he gets, the easier it's gonna be for them to
He
say
hasn't been on a lot of water slides either.
wow.
Like the only water slide that he's been on is at the Palermo Pool.
oh, they have it at the Palermo Pool?
Yeah, just one.
Hershey bar?
I was gonna say, real quick.
Yes.
I'll look through these pictures later. I'm just too excited. But after church,
Daniel, I
I'll
wanna
probably
buy
have to
something.
ask my
What
parents.
would you say if I did?
Come sell you things in just a moment. We'll do it.
Fine, then I'm
Oh, and
You can't stop.
Daniel.
I did all my things.
Yeah.
And it was like $2.
Daniel, I do have a
No, it was 4, right?
How much is
You
the
said 4. Go ahead, more.
I pay like,
I'm not sure.
like the little pictures that go on the wall.
No, the big one.
The big one,
That we did.
is $5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's multiple shots. You can pick from.
What picture?
Those, well, I'll give them to you guys for free at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I can't wait now.
Then you can go print them yourself. And they set up a link for the video. You can go pay and print it. So,
You're not the only one that's flipping. What is that ghost gonna do?
and
Not
you
even
have
scared.
any picture of the ball running.
This is a dumb game.
Gabe?
Oh, good.
No.
Tricky Tower.
Hey,
No one likes
I
Tricky
went
Tower.
with my mom. My mom doesn't let me have that.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Oh, your dad does?
Yes.
Because she probably knows that I stay up
That's
till
not what I meant. Go back.
6 a.m.
What do I have to be laughing at? Pretty fresh.
Why is everybody a wizard, bro? Because we have to, because they're very good.
Why is everyone the same one?
I know.
Wait. You didn't get me in. I went to change my person.
no, race. No, race! Stop it!
You guys haven't even started the game yet?
Yeah, because
We
we
have
keep
no
pressing
idea what
buttons
we're
that are
doing.
nice buttons. Honey cup, big cup, super cup, super match,
It's basically
honey cup,
how
big
many
cup,
rounds you have to
Super
win
cup,
the
dude,
match.
super
We're
cup.
doing single match.
Why?
Because single match is good.
Single match is good. Then you have to go back to the menus again. Fight each other like real men.
Yeah. 2, 1, go.
Where am I? Ooh, it's like Tetris. I like it.
Basically.
Oh, Alan, you haven't seen this yet?
No.
Oh, dude, it's like Tetris, but there's physics. So
In
if
other
you don't
words,
stack it
horrible.
good.
Daniel, you have changed my life.
Oh.
That's the goal. Pretty sure. As a teacher.
In multiple ways. Good and bad.
I actually don't want it. It's not what I want. No!
That's not what I want. No! My whole building fell down.
Yeah, there's physics.
Why does Daniel always make us play Tetris games? Yes.
Good. If you were good at this game, I would have to kill you. How do you nudge to the right again? This is a good block, but I can't do it. Oh, wait, maybe I can. It's not very good. Lightning! Wait, I wanted that.
Lightning baby.
Oh yay, a slippery block. Why did I don't want it?
Babe, I thought that you were going to come to camp.
Stop. Stop it. Calm back down. This is so dumb. I can't even.
Which is
Like little men. Stop it. I
No,
hate
the
these
slippery
blocks.
rocks.
Who's doing this? Whoever's doing this needs to stop it. That bad game.
That sounds me too.
I'm just going like this. I don't care what happens. Who's the one that's in first place?
Me. Oh, piano. Come on.
Yes.
I love piano.
Sometimes they have decent music. Sometimes your face doesn't look so decent. Should have stopped stacking them like that.
How did you do that?
Why didn't
I win! And I get a house! Let's go! Perfect placing of the house.
Alright, rematch. Come on. Wait, shouldn't the losers give me control? No, this is the same round, Micah.
Obviously.
Not really. You gotta see. Someone won. I think when you went to camp, you got dumber.
I don't think it's possible. Like,
It's a terrible place to put it. You know where? What's a terrible place to put a baby?
Plastic! This is a piano, and I can't even use it. Piano. Yeah, I did. Let's go.
Physics is fun.
Don't say it's like you're a science teacher, but you stay in that to make children feel better.
He says I have a science teacher.
You have the science teacher.
You have heard too much.
Wait, what are they?
Make it big and chunky.
Slippery!
Oh, slippery baby. I'm in second place.
Good job, Brady.
I know. Yes, now that I got that new base. No, 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 no!
There goes your new base.
Ah!
But I thought physics was fun.
Me too.
Apparently he doesn't feel the same way.
I win again. No, wait! Did I know? That's so annoying. That's so annoying.
So you're gonna probably maybe win again someday. Whoa! That's just like the entire thing just got.
I made one run in the beginning and it just doing.
I get a house and I get to place it on the hill.
Why is there a little island just floating? Hacker! Hacker! Who's hacking?
You want a rematch, guys? Yeah. I just love the new game.
I suck it out. Must not.
I hate this game whenever Aiden's playing it. He's better than me. I'm better at it when Aiden's not here. It'd be a lot cooler. If Aiden gets to use it,
Oh.
What am I, bro?
perfect routine. I like how my power is gaining the side every so often.
Alright, has anyone actually shown any skill so far?
Yes, me.
Oh.
Judah's won twice.
Judah's won twice? Oh, Judah. That wasn't that bad. It's mostly good. Judah, how did you get that one stone piece?
Why are they
That's such
falling
a
so
hack.
fast? That's so hard.
Oh my gosh, Judah. Just gaming the system. Oh no, Judah! No, 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 no! You were doing so good. What happened?
Love it. Fell.
If you had asked when you got here, I would have said yes. But it takes to start using this match.
Oh!
If we somehow miraculously
Who disconnected their controller?
otherwise,
Therefore therefore
after
thy.
as soon as you get here, okay? Good?
You did. Therefore.
Judah, are you not playing?
No, the controller disconnected and then it reconnected.
Oh.
Then it disconnected again. And
What
reconnected.
happens when you start spamming?
Don't put the other alarm.
Perfect.
Oh, here it is, here it is! Yes!
Perfect.
No!
That how was that? That's cheating.
I think that was it. Was it too much? I didn't unwrap it, so I didn't even notice.
Also, did you happen to fix the little
I tried to fix.
Alright,
It's
my
not
God.
really gonna stay fixed.
Ah!
Winner by default.
Alright,
Crap.
my God.
This will still win. Don't worry, my peasants. I mean my
Yeah.
people.
What happened?
How is
Yes!
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, so you're basically
That's the best win ever.
Yeah.
My boss in the sea.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are pretty short.
Race normal.
I don't get what.
Yay! It's 6, 7, and 8.
It is.
Like the other day, I was in bed at midnight, and I had a soccer game.
Wait, guys, that was it. That was the end of the round. You guys.
No, we're not. You're done. Done. You done? No, don't fly away. No, stop it. Die. You and a man.
Okay,
All right, guys, that's it. That's game.
Bro, you know it's not him.
how do you know it's dead?
Bushy, bushy, bushes.
What? I
Pushes,
haven't even
pushes.
been playing. How am I winning?
I call this just cheating.
Daniel! Daniel, my controller's broken. And I was like in second place.
You guys can set it by the backpack actually.
Well, I'm already over here.
Ah.
I was even playing, and my controller's broken.
Alright guys, find a Bible, find a chair.
Oh, yeah!
Grace, are you beating yourself?
No,
Find
I'm
the backpack.
trying to be you.
Up on top of the shelf.
Which is yourself, because he's not there.
No, there's no one else playing. She just has another player 1.
Yeah, bro.
And she's player 2, defeating Ragdoll.
Defeating her ragdoll.
I gotta do that sometime. I think that's like a great YouTube clip.
Apparently she's
Put it
doing
in
really
the
Grace
good.
is so good at that.
And then like yell like you're beating someone.
Put you in sandbag. Where it literally is just a sandbag.
Jesus.
It's a good point. Okay.
Ooh.
Alright, Grace, time to turn it off. Turn off the TV. Find the Bible.
She's amused.
Yes, yes, I know.
Finally.
I feel like this is small enough for you can skip the night today. Also, I was kind of afraid of losing my voice on Friday because I teach main service last night. And now it's survived. I still have a voice today, which is pretty next level for me.
My mom lost her voice from the smoke.
Yeah, you spend enough time outside, man. It'll take you down.
When we left
I lose mine at camp because of the dust. It's always
no, I
dusty.
was on the verge of losing.
I should stay further over. Willow, are you avoiding chairs because you know you will fall asleep if you sit in one? That's okay. Judah, you are not allowed to sit on the pool table.
Huh? I'm
What
not.
happens if I'm levitating?
Is Gabe on the pool table? No. Yeah, so no sitting on the pool table.
I was levitating.
The thing that made me spend hundreds of dollars to fix it last time was people sitting on it. Literally, like, dropping and spilling drinks on it is annoying and it will stain it horribly. It won't cause it to be useless. Sitting on it will.
I was levitating.
Yes.
No,
What's
he
that
wasn't.
scared from?
You're pointing in the general direction of like 8 separate stains. So I don't know. But I will say in my defense, 9 out of 10 stains in this room are soda.
Really?
Yeah.
Inside the circle or on the outside?
The other ones are.
The only reason why I'm asking that because you said a couple weeks ago, next time somebody's gonna be asking about the stains on the floor.
I remember saying that now that you said I said that.
We're gonna wait until Friday. Oh wait, I mean next Sunday, next Friday.
There are more chairs. Look at this. Look at this. I got piles of chairs. I can just throw a chair
Yeah.
right at you. Just
Don't
chuck
throw one.
Do it.
the chairs right over.
Throw it at Hannah.
Throw it at yourself,
You
Daniel.
say it like Warrior in a fantasy show. And then
No,
I
no,
fought against the
no.
armies of Hana.
You know the police will arrest you and keep you in jail.
Oh, my God.
That's a good point. That is a good reason not to kill people.
Yeah, maybe just not.
Why are we talking about killing people?
Because you're about to
Throw a chair. You're
Throwing
gonna kill
chairs
people.
doesn't kill people automatically. I mean, granted, it was probably just, you're right, it was, I shouldn't do it. But I was joking, and I was not joking.
No
Alright, today,
mean jokes.
we are in, that's a good point, too. We're in Joshua chapter 6. But last week we were in Joshua chapter 5. Alice, do you remember what happened in Joshua chapter 5?
Joshua chapter. Oh, that's cool. I opened up my Bible when it was.
What happened?
Something.
Ooh. Anyone else?
Quail. I wasn't here last week. Scott.
I knew quails was going to be the thing people remembered, but it was not in Joshua chapter 5. We were referencing all the way back to Numbers when we talked about the quails.
Well, I wasn't here last
Remember?
week, so.
I wasn't here last
Do
week.
you guys remember I showed you the screen and said your stuff was in the wallpaper and you went looking for it earlier?
You can't see it.
Well, it's not the wallpaper now. I can turn off the thing.
Why'd you do that?
I'll do it.
You better.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Watching.
What?
Oh yeah.
Alright, can you guys see your drawings?
Yes, very.
I seen Isla.
Yeah, Isla's was really big and bold. Kinda hard to make it evenly in versus everyone else.
Yeah.
You can't find yours, you can.
I can't find
I don't see
I
any
know that Willow and
words.
Simon are in the top right.
I didn't
Isla's
sign it,
above the T.
Oh, can we do it this time?
No. It's a one-time deal.
Had to be there that day.
I don't think I'm gonna find
Joshua chapter 5 had to do with this concept though, of permanently marking something. Here's your board.
Is Joshua in the Old Testament or New Testament? Old. It's 184.
There's
Not in my Bible, probably.
Megan Gray?
I can't see it.
I think the wallpaper's chopped up. I gotta go double check it. There might be some wallpaper missing on the left and the right edge. Huh. Because it just says and Gray. It doesn't say Meg. The Meg is out here somewhere.
Meg Darley.
Bummer. Oh.
I don't see Joshua in my Bible.
Maybe the wallpaper's originally 16 by 9 and this is 16 by 10. So it's
Maybe she goes by Anne.
No, that's not right. And then this is Aiden.
I am.
And
You should put on it.
someone was thinking about the friends. There's the pants. And so there's friends. There's the pants. So anyways, these are just permanently part of the middle school wallpaper now.
Daniel, I
It's just a
can't find
feature
Joshua.
Of wallpaper.
Did you put mine on? Because I'm gonna be disappointed if I didn't.
Oh no,
put
yours is on there. I just don't remember where, but it's on there.
One.
You can find it. You'll find it on there.
How did Aiden get on the wall?
I'm a forgiving chap.
Did he do anything
I
right?
thought about it longer later, and I thought, you know what? I don't need to be mad at him.
At least I'm on Aiden's.
Alright, so, chapter 5 has to do with memorials. Something you do once that's meant to be somewhat permanent that will help you to remember later. And I find it really funny that no one remembered that.
I was in here last week.
Last
So,
week was dead to me. It was dead to me.
Mm-hmm.
Quail.
I called him Samuel, not you.
Quail.
Sorry, go on.
I thought the stuff about memorials was 2 weeks ago. Also last week we made quail nuggets together to celebrate how they did that.
It was
for
2
the
weeks
double
ago.
quail.
Dang it, Samuel, you're absolutely right.
Quail.
Absolutely right.
I lost the word. 2 people said the word
2
quail.
weeks ago. Oh, I know why. Because I never revealed the wallpaper because it took me over a week to get it done. So this is my first time revealing it, but you're right, it's been 2 weeks, not 1 week. So I'm actually giving you guys the wrong calendar. Holy cow. Chapter 5 actually was when everyone had to be circumcised so they could be part of the covenant with
That's
with
right.
God.
That's right.
That was last week, that was chapter 5. But anyways, they named the place, they named it Roll, or To Roll, otherwise known as Gilgal. And then, yeah, Joshua got a special visit from the Lord, and the Lord gave him the battle plan. The Lord gave him these special instructions on how to defeat Jericho. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna put mine in the bucket.
You should have. How dare you?
Do you think it's too late?
Go.
Please, you should have
Can
said
I
it's
put
too
someone
late.
else's one in the bucket?
I think they can put this one in the bucket. It's
Yeah,
not,
you better.
it's not particularly
Don't
hard.
mix it.
Sorry, you can't mix it.
The opposite
Daniel.
of not mixing it.
I didn't mix it.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, I'm Daniel. Hi. What?
Quail.
Oh, okay.
I lost.
Hey Grace, that joke is gonna lose its funniness the longer you keep doing it back to back to back.
Oh yeah.
And it will gain funniness
It's so funny to
the
me.
longer you wait until you do it.
Yeah, but she's trying to
Yes.
squeeze as much.
So you know what a ripstick is, right?
Yes, took me a second, yeah.
Okay, so we have this massive hill.
Wait, why are we talking about Ripson?
Here, I'll tell you why. So I was going down the hill, and Alex was down at the bottom of the hill filming me. I'm like, I'm coming for you. America needs you, but you yelled it, and it's like 10 at night. And then Alonso, the rest for the next like 5 days, he would just say that, I'm
America
coming for
needs
you. America needs you.
And you start yelling it all the time?
Yes.
We had a joke like that not too long ago in the middle
Well.
school youth group. We got a foreign exchange student who was coming to church with the family she was staying with, and she spoke really broken English. And at one point, I forget what the original context even was, but she was trying to express how many of something, and she was saying 5, 5, over and over again, adamantly trying to get the point across because apparently they couldn't tell what she was saying. So she was shouting 5 at them. But she is holding up 4 fingers. She is absolutely holding up 4 fingers. And we milked that for all it was worth. We had that joke in there for probably like 4 or 5 years. And we would just, at the most random intervals,
5.
just shout at people. They would break
5.
out.
5.
Anyways, but you had to know her because she was so soft-spoken about everything else, and she only really got exasperated by that one thing that she was reliving every day of her life while she was here in America, which was she knew what she was trying to say. It was very clear in her mind, and no one could understand. And so she'd be really soft-spoken, and then someone wouldn't get it. She'd repeat herself, and someone wouldn't get it. She'd repeat herself, and someone wouldn't get it, and she'd just start losing. But yeah, she was very nice otherwise. That was
Hey,
that was the
Daniel.
only thing that got under her skin. So today we were looking at chapter 6. This was all last
The
week. We were
world is
getting
never
ready.
gonna stop being funny to me.
They were getting ready to move into the country, take over the country. Jericho is the first city they're going to try and take over. And Jericho is
Capo Chico.
well fortified, especially for back then. For back then, it was very well fortified. They actually had a double wall around Jericho. So even if you beat the outer defenses, you still couldn't get in. You were only in the poor neighborhoods. You had to beat a second set of walls to truly make it into the city. So, this is a 3D model of Jericho laid over the top of where Jericho actually was back in the day. We have unearthed almost this entire city. Most of it is so destroyed there's not much to find. However, there's little bits and pieces, and you can study the rubble to figure out what it came from. What was this building like before it was destroyed? So we often find here is not the whole building. We're actually deducing the heights of buildings from the rubble. But we know the size of the building and we know the location of the building because the foundation stones weren't destroyed. The city was knocked over, the walls were knocked over during this battle, and then the city was burned to the ground. But the
I have a
foundation
question, Daniel.
stones were still mostly under the dirt when the battle was going on.
I promise
And so
it's
those
not the
foundation
right
stones lived on. We were able to unearth those and figure out where all these buildings were and what size they were and what they were used for and try to figure out from what was buried inside of them, what did people used to do in this? Was it a house? Was it a business? What was it? So we reconstructed like the whole city. It's kind of crazy. Alright, so here is a more of an artist rendition. This one's not like accurate to, this building is exactly here and this building is exactly there. This is very much artist's best interpretation. But it kind of gives you a look at the construction style of the wall and the building.
Where's
So
the
this is
king's
the
building?
types of buildings you would see in the walls, and the outer walls. And these are the types of buildings you'd see in the inner walls. So taller, made of nicer stone. The ones out here made of mud bricks, and generally shorter than the ones that are on the inside. Giant, massive gates if you actually want to come into the city properly, and giant, massive walls. There is also this really thin portion around the backside. You'll notice like by the main gate it's pretty wide in between the two walls, but around the back where there's no gate, the walls get really close together and the buildings get smushed up against the walls, and there is this little portion over here where there is a building so close it's actually built right into the wall. So this part of it at least is really accurate. It's not accurate in this picture for where the building individually stood. Yeah, Alan.
Why does it look like a beam?
A bee.
A beam? Oh, because it was built on a pre-existing hill. So the city wasn't constructed geometrically. It wasn't like some planner sat down and went, we're going to make a beam city. They just found this hill, thought, ooh, if we build on this hill, in the middle of all the walls, we'll be tall enough to still see over the walls. That's cool. That's good real estate.
Hey Daniel.
Yes, Grace.
So, where is the king's building?
Again, this is the artist rendition, so he's saying it's in the back corner. If you go over to this one, which actually recreates where the buildings really stood, you could basically pick any large building and guess. Like maybe this is the center of government. It's got wider streets around it. But yeah, I don't rightly know. I'm not sure they found a crown or anything lying around to really, dead giveaway. This is clearly the throne room or something.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so, what else can I show you? Ooh, yeah, this is a good one. Did I put this in earlier? I put that in earlier. We're going to skip that one. Okay. Here we go. We're going to read, and we're going to come back to this photo after we read. Maybe we'll just leave the buildings up while we're reading. That'll be good. Alright, so chapter 6 of Joshua. Now the gates of Jericho were tightly shut because the people were afraid of the Israelites. No one was allowed to go out or in. But the Lord said to Joshua, I have given you Jericho, its king, and all its strong warriors. You and your fighting men should march around the town once a day for 6 days. Not a normal battle plan. 7 priests will walk ahead of the ark, each carrying a ram's horn. On the 7th day, you are to march around the town 7 times, with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear the priests give one long blast on the ram's horns, have all the people shout as loud as they can. Then the walls of the town will collapse, and the people can charge straight into the town. Alright. This is weird, as battle plans go. If you've heard the story, it's weird. You're like, oh yeah, that one about Jericho, I remember that one. But, if you haven't, it is weird. This is not normal. Usually you have to do some way to climb over the wall. You bring in some sort of like ramp on wheels, that's medieval combat, or you get a ram to go and break the gate down, or you start just lobbing stuff over the wall, and you shoot arrows over it, sling stones, fire bombs, and you try and attack despite the giant wall. You don't usually get together a band and march around the city playing a
I
song.
should do that.
That's not normally what military bands do. We have military bands, but they're not used in military context. Alright, I want the cavalry on the west flank, and I want the band on the east. They won't know what hit them. Really, they wouldn't. That'd be just the strangest thing in the entire world. But that's what God's plan is. And the reason is that He really wants to show the Israelites, I'm winning these battles for you. I don't want you from this point on to ever see another big city and go, oh no, it's impossible, we can't do it. He's like, from day one, I need you to understand, it doesn't actually matter who's up against you because you're only fighting humans. And you have God on your side. And I think the people of Jericho understood. The people of Jericho are afraid of the Israelites because they've heard about what happened in Egypt. We find that out a few chapters after they have. And they know what happened at the river. All the people of Israel are on one side of the river. It's going to be hard to move everyone and all the animals and everything across. So what does God do? He just stops the river. Makes it not flow. Holds all that water back and lets them cross on dry ground. These kinds of feats convince the people of Jericho, we don't have a shot. We can't possibly do this. So, verse 6, Joshua called together the priests and said, take up the ark of the Lord's covenant and assign 7 priests to walk in front of it, each carrying a ram's horn. They would actually create horns out of animal horns. Back then, that's why we named them horns. If you ever put that one together. But yeah, the brass horns and the French horns and all those horns we have today are named horns because the original horns were made from horns. It's the easiest way. You guys ever seen an animal bone, how there's marrow in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Horns aren't exactly the same, but they're close enough to have a different material in the center of the horn than they have on the outside of the horn. So there's an outside, harder, tougher layer, and there's an inside layer that lets all the blood move through and all the nutrients move through and lets the horn stay alive and not just like die and start falling off all decrepit. But when the animal dies and you take the horn off, you can actually hollow out that inside center pretty easily because it's way softer than what's on the outside. Then you just chop off the pointy tip and now you've got
little horn. That's it. And then depending on the animal, you can get some really weird horns. There's some animals in the Middle East that grow big curlicue horns. There's some animals in the Middle East that grow straight ones that just stick off their head like a telephone pole. All different kinds of horns. And so you can get different musical instruments by just harvesting the horn from a different animal. And you just got a different shaped horn. So their horns were actually horns. Then he gave orders, this is verse 7, to the people, march around the town, and the armed men will lead the way in front of the ark of the Lord. After Joshua spoke to the people, the seventh priest with the ram's horn started marching in the presence of the Lord, blowing the horns as they marched. And the ark of the Lord's covenant followed behind him. Some of the armed men marched in front of the priest with the horns, and some behind the ark, and with the priest continually blowing the horns. That would get tired. Does anyone here play any instrument?
Used to.
What do you guys play? Piano?
I mean, trumpet.
Trumpet. Ooh, nice. Ukulele? Guitar? And piano? You must be serious. Grace.
I know how to say over the mountain we go, and you play forward and backwards.
Say it in ukulele?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well,
You can like anything.
And
so,
backwards.
so do you know letters on strings? Yeah. And I say it through those letters.
Oh, okay, I get it now. Yes, same one.
Piano, trombone.
And trombone, very nice. We can have you trombone.
That's what it sounds like.
That's great. Micah, did you have your hand up?
I do piano.
Did you piano? Nice. Al?
I used to do piano.
Used to.
Used to.
Did you break the guitar?
I started to teach my teacher.
Oh no. So now you don't play guitar?
Yes.
You're good enough to teach your teacher, shouldn't you?
No. I was trying to teach the teacher even though she knew what she was doing.
So you got fired.
My parents put me out.
Judah, what do you play? So, we've got 2 wind instruments, did I get that right? Those are the only 2? 1 trombone, 1 trumpet? You're not sure what you play? Okay, alright. How long do you guys think you could play your wind instrument for? 1 performance. How long could that performance be?
Not that long.
I mean, you have to guess, right? I mean, unless you've really tested it, you couldn't tell me an honest answer. So you're just guessing.
Yeah.
What's your guess?
Probably about 10 seconds.
10 seconds, that's it, you're done? Why
Well,
only
it's
10
like one
seconds?
continuous thing.
Oh, okay, 1 blast. I got you,
Yeah.
okay. How about 1 performance? Let's say it was actually music.
0 seconds.
5 minutes.
5 minutes is the longest you can play?
Probably.
What do you think you have to do to learn to play for longer?
Just practice it.
What would happen from that practice day? Because I don't think the people who don't like to play wind instruments, I don't think they get it. Does that make sense? I think they're missing what the difference is.
Why do you have to stop?
Why do you have to stop? Why can't you play longer than 5 minutes? Or why can't you play a blast for longer than 10 seconds? What's keeping you?
Because you can't just be enough work.
Okay, that's good. What about like your muscles?
You just get tired of blowing it.
Yeah. Okay, so key to most wind instruments is the way you hold your lips. And if you can't hold your lips that way, it won't make the right sound. Right? If you just had lung muscles for days, you have the strongest lungs in the world because maybe you were a singer before, and then you start playing trombone, but your lips aren't strong, it doesn't matter if you hold your lips like this and you just kept blowing, it's still not going to make a trombone sound. Right? You have to hold your lips just right up against the mouth of the instrument or else you're done. That's it. No proper sounds will come out. You're going to get weird sounds or no sounds. So there's all these mouth muscles you need to have around your lips tightened up. You need to have really good strong lungs. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Animal horns are actually worse because there's no fine tuning of the horn like we have now with metal instruments or reed instruments or
I
any
hear
of
the
those.
sound is like from.
You are basically the fine tuned part. when you play an animal horn. It is only your lips that makes that sound. The animal horn is actually just doing reverberation. It's just increasing the volume of the sound. So you are the trumpet. If you have to make a kind of a noise with your lips, or else that's it. You're not
I
gonna
heard
do
they
it.
were doing.
Sure. It doesn't matter what the sound is though. The point is,
No,
it depends
no.
on these.
When they marched around the city, I heard that they made noise like that.
How would you know?
I watched Super Bowl.
Okay, that makes sense. Alright, keep reading with me. Verse 10. Do not shout, do not even talk, Joshua commanded. Not a single word from any of you until I tell you to shout. Then shout. So the ark of the Lord was carried around the town once that day, and then everyone returned to spend the night in the camp. So the whole first day, they're playing these trumpets. There's a silent army marching around the city. That's it. Just the footfalls. That's all you hear. And then the next day, chapter 6, verse 12, Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests again carried the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests with the ram's horns marched in front of the ark of the Lord, blowing their horns. Again, the armed men marched both in front of the priests with their horns and behind the ark of the Lord. All this time, the priests were blowing their horns. On the second day, they again marched around the town once and returned to the camp. They followed this pattern for 6 days.
Hey Daniel,
6 days of silent marching. When you raise your hand, it doesn't mean you immediately start talking. Okay? So yeah, 6 straight days of just silent marching. On the 7th day, the Israelites got up at dawn and marched around the town as they had done before. But this time, they went around the town 7 times. The 7th time around, as the priests sounded the long blast of their horns, Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the town. Jericho and everything in it must be completely destroyed as an offering to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and the others in her house will be spared, for she protected our spies. Do not take any of the things set apart for destruction, or you yourselves will be completely destroyed, and you will bring trouble on the king of Israel. Everything made from silver, gold, bronze, iron is sacred to the Lord and must be brought into his treasury." So, this is it. You raid the town, you destroy the town. The only things kept goes straight to God. Everything else is destroyed. And the only things kept? Metals. Interesting note, if you go all the way back to when we had Moses still with us, earlier in the story, it talks about the days coming when you will get to destroy some towns. There are rules. There are rules. If you capture anything that's made of metal, you have to completely melt it. Completely melt it down to liquid metal, and then you can keep what you make out of that liquid metal. But you can't keep a gold or an iron or a copper or a bronze object as its original shape, its original form. That says you're not allowed. He also says if you capture anything that's not metal, that cannot be refined, it must be washed before it comes into the camp. So there's these rules that say that when you capture something from these foreign nations that have been worshiping false gods, you have to perfectly clean that object before you can take it in and make it part of the Israelite property. And for metals, it was really easy. Just completely melt it, boom, done. It's as clean as it gets. But for everything else, you had to wash it carefully. Yes, Grace.
So I have a comment and a question.
Okay.
So I heard on the second day when they were marching around blowing their horns, or trombones, the people were freaking out, panic, running around the city. And also, how many miles do you think the city is?
We can actually measure it because we know right where the walls are. I don't know how many miles.
How many
around it
miles
is.
do you think?
Oh,
Your
I
brain
would guess.
thinks.
Well, here, let's look at the scale one. Let's see. So that's it looks like a modern day normal house. This one looks pretty normal size. That looks pretty small.
At least
Okay, so like this would be a normal size plot, so make that like it's like 5,000 on the side and maybe 2,000 on the short sides. So it's
So, How many miles?
I don't know, 12,000, 14,000, 15,000 feet, something like that, around. It's
Miles.
not that big of a city, but it's ancient. For them, it's huge.
12,000 feet.
Did I get that right? I don't know. I'm wild
12,000
guessing.
feet.
12,000
12,000
feet is
feet doesn't seem like
several
that much to you?
miles.
No.
Does it? Do you guys know the miles version of your head?
5,000.
That'd be like 5,000
$670.
Yeah, I know. You guys want to pull up real Google Earth and just see
That's
real
what
quick?
I was
Oh.
doing.
Yeah.
You can actually just circle something on the map and have it turn the perimeter.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Like, I measure how far my grandma's house is from me, and I do close, fly, and street.
And you can get lost in really exploring the planet sometimes.
Wait, you can explore planets?
No, just this one. Actually, that's not true. They have the moon and Mars up now, too.
I can't get it to do it on my phone, only on my computer. Do you know anyone who owns a maker of land on the moon?
Yes.
Sort of.
Alright, so,
I want to do
it's a half mile.
Half a
Oh,
mile?
Yep.
They must have
Let's
half
see how far
mile
off was that. Oh, I was a
every
little off with the
day.
feet there. Just a
7
little
or
bit.
6 times.
Alright, so that is a small city.
It's pretty small.
Really small.
Like,
We
it's
didn't
probably,
get that much of a workout.
Orville's bigger.
Oh, yeah, easily. Obviously. Not even, or just way bigger.
Bangor's probably.
Guys, the thing about old cities versus new cities, you can drive to the store now.
Really?
Now you can. You can drive to the store. They didn't have anything to drive with.
Would you say that's the size of like Bidwell Park?
Well, here, so it's 0.57 miles. Let's just go find the Park.
Or one section of Disneyland. That seems about right.
Wait a minute. So how many churches long from this way
The
from like
Bidwell Park, if you're doing perimeters, it's unfair. Bidwell Park is incredibly long and skinny. So Bidwell Park is gonna be like way bigger to do a proper circle. But if you're only thinking like some section of Bidwell Park, then yeah, it's a pretty big one. So,
Oh wait.
so
Park is
how
the
long
park
is
that
this
you look
church
at.
like from this part to the end of the building?
Similar to 1 mile.
What?
this is bigger.
I don't live in Chico. Look.
This
I
is
don't
bigger.
live in Chico.
So from the bottom of 1 mile, it's bigger than Jericho. Okay, so let's go to Cape Break.
I don't live in Chico. Chico.
Maybe you should live in Chico then.
Not one of those.
Caper wafers. I think it's gonna be about
That's still 1 mile per trip.
Just like
Okay,
half that size.
So just
No,
let's see, inside of the baseball field.
So seriously, how long do you think it would make them
There we
to
go, that's
Metro
close,
City
that's
one
pretty close.
time?
How many feet?
That's
It's
1
really
mile
not
right
that
there.
big.
Hey Daniel, I
How
have
many
a
feet is
question.
that?
So, how long do you think it would take them to march around the city?
Half
One
mile
time.
walk? That's like not that long, yeah.
For
It's
me,
like
it takes like 5 minutes.
10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, most people can walk around 4 to 5
5
miles an hour. So,
What about people back then?
I don't think it was much slower, although historically most of them were technically shorter than us, but not by much.
Shorter than that. Why?
Just on average, like the
I thought they
average
were
city
taller.
girl will be shorter back then than they are now. The average adult back then will be shorter than they are now.
That doesn't make any sense because back then they were walking like pretty long.
Well, not
Back
everyone was
then
like
was
that.
like that.
That's
I know,
why
but
they made a
the
special
air
point
back
of saying
then-
how stinking tall he was.
But the air back then was way better and it made them bigger.
Well, okay, we dug up their bones and they were shorter.
Maybe.
On average, there's still tall people back then.
Weren't they taller like before the flood though?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I think that's what he's thinking.
We don't have a lot of human remains.
That's what I was saying.
Have made sure they're pretty well destroyed. Alright. Here we go. This city is hard to attack, and that's because of the wall structure. Let's look at the wall structure real quick. Put these in the wrong order, I apologize. Here's the wall structure. So it might not have been that big around, but here's a human for scale.
Oh, dang.
This is the part of the wall that didn't have to fall, because when the part of the wall that was up here fell, it landed on the outside of this, forming a ramp down to the ground. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so go back to the good model where it's all put together. Okay, so this part stayed standing. This little bricky part out at the bottom, and this was angled out, probably about like this from the photos. So it's still not easy to climb. You could climb it if you're a climber, but you couldn't just march a flank of soldiers up there. That's not going to work. So what happened is you've got this angled part down the bottom third. The top 2/3 falls and crumbles outward and makes a nice rubble ramp
Isn't that
up
crush?
into the city. Oh yeah, if they're standing real close to it. I'm pretty sure if Joshua says when you shout the walls are going to come down, they were thinking like, maybe today we walk in a little bit wider radius. than,
Maybe they thought they were gonna fall out into the city.
Well, maybe they did. Maybe some of them got crushed, but it doesn't say that, so I don't think that. But maybe.
Why would Josh want some of them
I
crushed?
don't think he did. Okay, so, do not take anything but the gold and the bronze. Verse 20. When the people heard the
Rail.
sound of the ram's horns, they shouted as loud as they could. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed, and the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. They completely destroyed everything in it with their swords, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, goats, and donkeys. Meanwhile, Joshua said to the two spies, "Keep your promise. Go to the prostitute's house and bring her out along with all her family." So that would be back on this back corner over here. Verse 23, then the men who had been spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father, mother, brothers, and all the other relatives who were with her. They moved the whole family to a safe place near the camp of Israel. Then the Israelites burned the town and everything in it. Only the things made from silver, gold, bronze, and iron were kept for the treasury of the Lord's house. So Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute and her relatives who were with her in her house because she had hidden the spies Joshua sent to Jericho. And she lives among the Israelites to this day. Now remember, the book was written by Joshua. So whenever he says something present tense,
That's an old woman.
he's talking about in his lifetime. Okay, this is written by him. So when Joshua was still alive after the conquest was over, he sat down and wrote all this stuff out. So when he was writing it, she was still alive. Not now, Judah. Joshua's alive during this battle, Rahab's alive during this battle. Later in Joshua's life, Joshua writes the book of Joshua about all the things he lived through, and he writes, in his old age, Rahab is still alive too. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. But not now. It's been thousands of years. It's just not alive anymore, Judah. Yes, Judah?
Rail.
I have a theory though.
Oh, come on.
What if she's actually Thanos? Therefore, she is never dead.
She is old and wrinkly now, that would make sense. Okay. At that time, verse 26, Joshua invoked this curse. May the curse of the Lord fall on anyone who tries to rebuild the town of Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn son will he will lay its foundation. At the cost of his youngest son, he will set up its gates. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his reputation spread throughout the land.
The New Testament too.
Yeah. I don't know who, but when you get all the way past the Old Testament, all the way up to the New Testament, when you get to Jesus' time, there's Jericho again. It never mentions though who rebuilt it, but we know it got rebuilt because there's a big stinking city there now. But the thing that's interesting is they didn't build on this hill. So I don't know exactly how God took the curse, but if God took the curse to mean like on this spot exactly, then actually no one ever rebuilt Jericho. But if you just mean the area and the name, then yeah, they rebuilt Jericho. But the Jericho they rebuilt was around this, not here.
Did anyone
Does that
rebuild
make
the
sense?
building right in that spot?
That's why I said Jericho, the first one. So, anyways, the walls are kind of important, but I want to look right here. This is inside one of the storehouses inside the city as they're doing the archaeological excavation. They found that the grain store still had the clay vessels for storing harvested grain in them inside there. And I don't want to say intact because it's kind of the wrong word, but they weren't smashed to dust. They were still vessel shaped. They were mostly missing their tops though. But the grain inside was not rotten or moldy or eaten by mice. The grain inside was, how do you say that word?
Old, stale.
Carbonified? Yes. It's not
Stale.
carbonized, right? That's from Star Wars. Yes?
So going back to the curse, what if it fits? What if?
Took me a second, because Willow's so serious about everything until it comes to these questions, and then suddenly
So
she's
what
not
if
serious at
it
all.
was a child that rebuilt the town?
They had no firstborn to lose. Is that what you're getting at? Yeah, okay, great.
Well,
No
what if-
I should
firstborn.
do that.
What if it was a girl that
Yeah.
rebuilt the town?
Well,
Because then his girl.
girls can have children. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, because it says his in the thing. Oh,
And
you're right. Total loophole. If only they knew. Only they knew. Just hire a child to build your city, and then problem solved.
it's like slaves.
A child slavery. Perfect solution, Willow. Congratulations, you figured it out. You should start a company based on this theory. Okay, not the point. The point was, when they went in, they dug this up, they found something interesting. Archaeologists are always trying to figure one thing out more than they could have from the evidence they have. They want to just take that evidence and build one more thing on top of it. So when they were digging this up, they were looking at the grain store, noticing that the grains inside the vessels was totally burnt to a crisp. But it wasn't burnt to a crisp in the way something's burnt to a crisp when you light it on fire. It was burnt to a crisp the way something's burnt to a crisp when you overcook it in like an oven scenario. So that would tell you the building was burned down and the grain was
You're right.
already in the vessel. Does that make sense? So they were able to deduce the building burned down, and that matched the other evidence. Lots of other evidence had shown that the city was burned to the ground. But there's an extra piece to this. If you turn all of that grain into carbon, it roughly keeps its shape and size, but it no longer is edible. There's no microbes that want it, there's no rats that want it, nothing wants it anymore. It's just char.
What is char?
It's literally just
Don't.
built up carbon. Just carbon sitting
I
there.
don't know what carbon is.
Like charcoal, when you go light your barbecue, most of what's in a charcoal briquette is just carbon. There's a little bit else, but not much else. So what you're seeing, at least, is just carbon.
So coal.
Sure, but this is coal made from individual grains that keep their shape and size. So it's now a jar full of grain-shaped carbon. Does that make sense? It looks like coal, but it also looks like grain. What that got them, though, was the ability to tell how full the vessel was when the building burned down. And again, this doesn't seem like it's that important, but it can tell you, based on ancient cultures that really don't have global food supplies, when in a year the building burned. If you know how full the grain jar is, you know how long it's been since harvest. If you have the whole grain store, you know that this isn't just a jar that's at that level. You can actually check all the jars to see what level all the jars are at. And so you can tell how full the whole grain store is. Does that make some sense? So there's two pieces of information they were able to glean from this. Number one, the place burned really close to harvest because almost everything was full. That also tells you that not only was it close to harvest time, but it was also not a long siege or battle that burned this city to the ground. Or it was like some freak accident, the whole city burned by accident. But there's no chance of them being locked inside the city for long, long periods of time and still having a full grain store. Or being on the other side of the calendar, being like back during the planting season, they're really far from harvest, and having a full grain store. These options don't work. So there's really only that possibility that it was a freak accident or they were burning a short siege, and it was right near harvest. And this is all important because as you read through the story, it's easy to gloss over, but they give us some details. We know what time of year they made their attack, and it was, according to the Bible, right after harvest time. So it's really cool. The archaeology matches up perfectly with what the Bible tells us. Yeah, Micah.
We should rebuild the city, but it would be better nowadays because we have more roofs.
That's it. Just microwave is the only thing that makes it better. Everything else is the same, just microwave. Where would you plug the microwave?
Wait, is it firstborn son or firstborn? That one died.
Really important detail there, Alan. If you had your Bible open, Tom.
I don't.
Okay, so here's that scale wall with the little dude down there, and so just that slopey part that's the bottom third of the wall is about 2 or over 2 guys tall. So if you can picture, that's like the bottom third, it's about 2 guys tall. That means the wall is about 6 guys in height. Pretty big. Our church is roughly that height. So if you go outside and
Okay,
look
so
at
that is.
our church, that's roughly their outer wall. And remember, there's 2 walls, so if you get past that wall, and you get inside the lower part of the city, and then you have another wall like as tall as our church. Pretty stinking tall.
How wide was the wall? Because I think that people could stand on the wall and keep guard.
I think this is the one where it says you could ride a chariot across the top. I think that's this one. That's a different city that's mentioned, but I won't remember the range.
I'm not
So I
talking
don't
about
actually
chariot
know how
across
wide
the
this
top.
one is, but based on the photo,
So Daniel, I heard that there
maybe
was
only like
guards
1 man
on the
high
top
in width, so like
watching
6
the
feet, 10 feet.
people march around the city. So how wide do you think it was?
How wide is what?
Wall. When,
I was answering that while you were talking.
sorry.
Probably like 6 to 10 feet tall based on the pictures.
Wide.
Yeah. Sorry, 6 to 10 feet wide. That is what I meant. You said tall. Oh yeah, sorry. Last picture. This one. As far as we can tell, this little section of the wall over here in the north corner survived the falling over bit. And the lighting's really bad. I don't know if you can see it. Light check. Okay, here we go. So the lower slopey bit is actually down here, and it deteriorated because it was not covered in rubble like the other parts of the wall. So as you're unearthing this, as you're digging down into Jericho, what you come across around the whole perimeter is you come across the top of the wall down here, and you have to carefully remove all the pieces of the top of the wall that are now down here from this part of the wall to even see that part of the wall. Does that make sense? But in this one section of the north side of the city, this part of the wall, this lower slopey brick part, wasn't buried under rubble, it was just buried under normal soil, what's the right word? Accumulate. Just like normal dirt has accumulated over hundreds and hundreds of years. It didn't have wall on top of it. It just had dirt on top of it. So none of this came down onto this part of wall. Now over time, again, it's been thousands of years since this city stood, this part of the wall did come down. But it did not fall straight onto this. It fell slowly over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So this one little section of the wall remained standing during the battle and the burning of the city. Does that make sense? And we were able to actually tell that archaeologically by going around the entire city, digging up the whole dang thing, and seeing that there's this common way everything's buried around the entire wall, but not right there in this one little spot. So when they found this, they didn't actually have a lot of faith
So Daniel,
that this was Jericho. They weren't convinced
where
that
was
what they
this
found was Jericho. And then they found this and they went, okay, this might actually be Jericho.
Where
This
was
is
this
probably
found?
Jericho. Where?
Where?
In Jericho.
Like right on the
Like,
road.
what is it called this day?
Also Jericho?
Seriously.
Yeah.
So we look like Jericho.
I'm just kidding. Just to mess with it. Yeah, now it's called Jericho.
It's still called Jericho? Like
When
the
we started
literal
doing this
place?
archaeology, it was over 100 years ago. This is a long dig site. It's been passed down from archaeologist to archaeologist. It's not one person who's digging this place up. Because it's such a big dig. There are very few digs that exist where it's just the whole city.
Is it in
The entire
America?
ancient city. No, it is not in America. That's why I did the big Google Earth flyover at the beginning so you could see exactly how not in America it was. So there we are in Chico. I started out where we are at, and there's North America, and here we go past Africa over to the Middle East. That brownish slice there is Israel, and almost in the center but on the east side is ancient Jericho, in the midst of this larger cluster you see here, which is now modern day Jericho. Does that make sense?
So they still actually call it Jericho, Like,
Correct.
let's
They
say
call
if they
Jericho
didn't figure out where it
again.
was.
I wouldn't say still, I would say again. They called it Jericho again.
So, like, if they didn't figure out that's where Jericho was, what do you think they would name it?
Well, so this is the interesting thing. When they built the city up named Jericho in Jesus' time, it was nearby but not exactly on that spot. So they called it Jericho, and they thought they knew this is where ancient Jericho was. Turns out they were right. But then you come up to modern times, and in modern times, that is not usually the case. It is not usually the case that an ancient city named a thing is destroyed. Modern people build a city right next to it and they name it the same thing. Usually when they rebuild a new city and they name it the same as an ancient city, they end up being wrong. We actually do the digging, we do the research, and we figure out like, that's not where Bethlehem was, or that's not where this was. You guys were totally wrong. We find that out quite often, that people guessed wrong and they stuck with their guess and they named their whole city after their guess. In this case, they turned out to be right. So when people went to dig up ancient Jericho, they didn't think they were digging up ancient Jericho. They thought it was just going to be another time where modern people were wrong and that's Jericho. You guys know what you're talking about. And as they dug up all the details, then they realized, like, holy cow, this is actually Jericho, like to the letter. It has everything. The timing's right. The two walls is right. The kind of wall is right. The fact that Rahab's section of the wall didn't fall down was right. Like it's just right. Now,
Thousands of
that
years.
was about 100 years ago when they did that dig. Since then, it's been passed on, I think, twice, or the third generation of archaeologists, maybe even the fourth now. The newer archaeologists have said, nope, it's not Jericho.
Because they're atheists.
Well,
Give
it's
me
part
down.
of it, but the other part of it is they have a timeline that tells them when things have to have happened. And their timeline says this was destroyed at the wrong point in the soil layer record. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They're basically saying, based on the Egyptian timeline, which they're judging the entire Middle East and huge swaths of Europe and Northern Africa by, the timeline doesn't match the biblical account, so this isn't Jericho. Which doesn't make a lick of sense. It doesn't prove that it's not Jericho. Let's say the whole Bible, just hypothetically, was a made-up book I made up yesterday. That doesn't mean it's not Jericho. You'd actually have to show us what it is to say that it's not Jericho. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
proof that the Bible is some made-up book I made up yesterday doesn't prove that this is or isn't Jericho. You still have to prove it is or isn't Jericho. But they're basically saying it's not Jericho because the Bible timeline and Egypt's timeline don't match. And frankly, when you look at Egypt's timeline, it's a mess. There's huge dark periods where the whole timeline just goes on pause for like decades. And supposedly nothing happened in Egypt. Everyone just froze, held their positions. And then they picked up again and kept on being Egypt all of a sudden. And like that doesn't make any sense at all. They can't even explain why it happened. Yeah.
So I have two different questions.
Okay.
And one is semi-serious and one is
Okay. Go.
so Jericho still stands, right? Like there's a
The
rubble.
modern city or the rubble?
Rubble.
The rubble was buried. We dug it up.
So there's a city on top of it.
No.
Okay. So if a guy with a son went out there, give me
Oh
a
my
guy
gosh.
with a son went out there and
Whale.
started rebuilding the city. When his son died, it has to be the first one.
No, we're not going down this road. Okay. So yeah, it was a hill. There might have been like some farms on it and stuff. You can kind of tell. Like that's the part of the city we're in. Modern Jericho has a lot of orchards and farms in this section. So maybe someone planted there, but that was it. No one really built there. And yeah, and then we realized there was stuff under there, and we quickly annexed the land into the archaeological preserve and said, you can't build here. And then they dug it up. Yeah, do that.
Sure, that would figure it out.
Sir, yeah?
Sure, that would figure it out.
Yes, this is a 3D model drawn in to the photo of
You said
the
they
real-
have to explain it.
Okay, good job. Yes.
So you know how the newest archaeologist says that's not Jericho because of the soil?
Yeah, being in the wrong layer.
Right. So, we can actually prove that wrong because you know how they could tell the ages of when this was buried by the layers?
Yeah, yeah.
but actually it's not true.
Well, in this case, it's a weirder version of wrong that I think that they are. And it's so weird because they're actually right about the layers and they're wrong with the Bible. And I think that makes more sense. They're specialists in their field. They're experts. They know what layer it's in. They know that this layer of soil over here on this part of Israel's map, it corresponds to this layer of soil over here on this part of Israel's map. I don't doubt them on that at all. I think they've got that right. What's wrong is the ages they apply to the biblical story. They actually put the events of the Bible in the wrong place on the timeline, so that even if you put that in the right place, this ends up happening at the wrong time. And they've done it two ways. One is to match it to Egypt's timeline poorly, and the other is to assume Egypt's timeline is flawless. It's perfect. The Egyptians kept perfect records and we understand them perfectly. And I can show a few places where they don't have it right. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no logical reason for them to make some of the assumptions they're making about the Egyptian timeline. And then the way that they attach the biblical timeline to the Egyptian timeline, so they both walk forward 1 year at a time from that place where they're attached, they've done that wrong too. There's an anachronism in the writings of Moses that really throws them off. I don't think they understand what they're doing. So once you fix those two errors, it tracks flawlessly and it happens right when it's supposed to happen. But they're Bible errors. They're not archaeology errors. So just because they're not looking at the Bible clearly, which I can't blame them, that's not actually their specialty field. They end up saying these two don't click, therefore that is not this. And that's false. Every detail matches perfectly. Even if you want to make a case the Bible got something wrong, it got nothing wrong in regards to Jericho. It's even where it's supposed to be on the map. It talks about the crossing they made, what border they'd just gone over before they made the crossing, where they would end up inside of Egypt. There is no other ancient walled city. This is the one. This is it. So even if it got something wrong, this isn't what it got wrong. Like, it got it perfect. So, yeah, but I don't think that they're bad at their job. I don't think that they're wrong about the soil layers. I think that when they go wrong with soil layers, it's when they go wavy, and they start applying the wrong process to the job.
So that's what I was saying. Like, in 1949, a plane crashed in Alaska, and they dug it up out of the snow, and the layers weren't like by how the layers were. The scientists would have said millions of years ago.
Right. How many winters have passed since this plane crashed?
Right, and it's actually not less.
It
than
doesn't work.
that.
Yeah. We've done the same thing with fossilized trees, the same things with the same sample. You can send the same sample to multiple labs and get millions of years of different results. So yeah, all that stuff doesn't work as half as good as it tends to. But in this case, it really is just a question of, do they actually understand what the Bible's telling them? And if the answer is no, there's no way to make these two live. They're going to get it wrong every time. So, all right, that is it for today. I don't think I had any more fun folders to show you guys.
You show us the moon.
That's it. That was the end. All right, let's pray. Lord, we thank you for your word, that it's testable and true, that there is nothing you have written that has ever been shown to be false. We thank you, Lord, that you reveal great things to us and small things to us through that word. That you've shown us how to live our lives, how to find you, how to talk to you, how to love you, how to live life that's holy. Thank you, Lord, that all those things are in your word, not just stories about battles long ago. And so we ask, Lord, that as we read such things, as we see that the stuff in the dirt matches the stuff in your book, help us, Lord, to just have a strengthened faith so that we can continue to walk with you closely. We love you. We thank you for the very truths both in your word and in your word. We thank you that you reveal them to us. We pray these things in your name.
Amen.
Alrighty, guys. Go ahead and stick your Bibles up on the shelf. Heads up, there's a baptism next week. If you guys would like to get baptized, go sign up. I have just put up the sign up page today. It should have probably been up earlier, but it's up today, right before church started. So go sign up today. If you're getting baptized, sign up. If you're not getting baptized, sign up. We're doing a barbecue. We want to know how much to cook. So please,
So that's what we're doing today.
I thought
Tomorrow.
we already
no,
had
next week. Next Sunday. It's the 18th. That part's concerned.
I thought
Sunday
we
the
already
18th.
had like a baptism like 2 seconds ago.
2 months.
It's been 2 months since then.
2 months. Yeah.
Alright,
We
I
skipped
do
the August
fall
one,
bucket.
and we did a July one instead.
Maybe we should have. I don't really.
Daniel,
Yeah,
let's
yeah, that's
play
cool. I'll
the
keep the
game.
points. I don't mind.
The game. I lost the
Don't worry
game.
about it.
Daniel, I gotta do something first. I lost the
See,
game.
Daniel, you did that. You moved my phone.
You moved it. I moved it back.
I actually put it in, and you moved it. Me.
Do you have an epic?
Oh, you'll play Tiny Towers? Yeah, ask your mom what she said.
Friends?
Maybe she has to.
Mommy, we're staying.
All right.
If a guy had twins and they were
Okay.
both sons and they were both sons.
Hana, I
and
want
they were
phone
at the
bucket.
exact same time, would that
Mommy, we're staying right now.
That's not how we're That's not how we're No, which heart crossover is which?
they have
They have no heart, but they join them have a heart, they're dead. That's how that works.
Ma, I stole your
You're just trying to break
candy.
a curse without actually
Jim.
like,
He's like, Alex, I want candy. She's like, cool.
I don't even know if the curse is legit. Like, if God's behind the curse, he's like, hey, like, that's a bigger question to me. Is God behind the curse?
And can I
There's
have
one in
a
Joshua
cup
to do
to
it.
put the attack
For example, about is God. Because God wants to use it.
This is my sister's mother.
Doesn't make any sense. But what if the firstborn son already died, and it was just one of it was the second son that went with him?
That's actually a really good one. If the first one.
Oh well, I went.
Huh?
Hello.
Huh?
You did. I won.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna go down, mother. Cheers look like they're good, and they're still playing games.
Yes? I do.
Bad, Daniel, bad.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Forgot that I was trying to
Well,
leave.
Daniel, I'll you in a second.
Now put away my chair.
I put away my chair.
It's 5 to a stack. This one's already full. Yep, that one is now. Dude, you're sitting in the center. Sorry.
It keeps them second. He's the jerk behind my basketball.
Daniel, the real question is why not?
I have several reasons. One of them is it's annoying.
Alright, so I think that my friend might come.
That's awesome.
So if he comes, I'll introduce him to you.
Okay, yeah, what's his name?
Boston.
That's awesome.
Wait, you were thinking his name was Boston?
No, I said that it was
Hey
awesome.
Daniel,
name.
can I turn the Wii back
He said
on?
that's what I
I
was thinking.
can, but your parents are probably downstairs waiting for you.
My dad's probably still checking.
Oh, you used the sign up now. It's still on.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
You registered one. Thank you, Alan.
I was gonna help, but I thought,
Better to just dance in Alan's face.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright. What did she do? Sundays.
See you Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Alonzo's
his birthday.
birthday. That's right.
Well, birthday, not mine.
Why are you doing black magic?
You don't like what?
Well, just hurts
It
my
said
heart.
dark magic, I thought.
Wait, what? Wait, I'm confused. Ooh, that was perfect. Okay. 3 hours? Yeah.
with the magic of the kazoo.
Why am I doing this to myself? What? It's doing so good. What? It's doing so good. What? 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 This is so weird. It's doing so good. Wait, what do the bushes do?
They just obscure your blocks so you can't quite tell what the tops of them look like.
Next round, I'm gonna. What? Daniel, how? What? Why are you doing that? It's literally perfect. You're just knowing I'm not gonna be taking your time.
Oh, I play like this no matter what. I just don't like playing with imperfection when I could have perfection.
I think you're doing that because like there's no one there to like stop you from like some people have like dark magic so they can like mess
Mess
with
me
your
up?
blocks.
Yeah. Is it gonna slot in? Oh, dude, if it slots in. No, it's not. It's not. I wanted real perfection. I gotta remember where the house comes down. Alright, that's it.
Oh, Bruce.
Grace, are you still playing against no one?
Yeah.
You could have come and played with us.
No, thank you. I don't like that.
Aw.
I guess the time is too much.
Well, thanks for playing, Michael.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sonic is on.
I never knew you could do that.
Be awesome.
No, roll up into a bowling.
It did. I was watching. It looked a lot like that.
Because like my paper slipped and